Welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Georgia. We have quite a show for you today because we are introing this now into a conversation that we recorded live with Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's former fixer. And he has a lot to say, Senator.
Yeah, he sure does. Yeah, and he's not afraid to say it either. So it's uh it's an interesting conversation. I think it's interesting anyway. Get to get some insight into how Donald Trump operates and how he works. And we end up talking a lot about Epstein and what's going on there and his thoughts on that whole thing. So it should be semi entertaining, should be semi good. He's definitely, man, dude's high energy cat, I'll tell you that. A
High
lot.
energy. Yeah, and yeah, we talked a lot about Epstein and, just for the sake of our listeners over podcasts, we recorded this live on Substack, so you might hear him talk about Substack a lot or answer questions, and that's kind of what is happening when you hear that, in case you're wondering, what the hell are they talking about? Okay, let's get into some quick headlines, though. A lot happening today. The New York Times is reporting that Trump wrote a letter to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell. CNBC says a group of Republican lawmakers actually supported this idea when he floated it to them, and then he wrote this letter. Trump is denying this. Powell says it's not legal for the president to fire him. What do you think?
Powell's right. Powell's right. I mean, the system is set up not to politicize the Fed, and the president of the United States or anybody in the United States Senate shouldn't be writing letters saying, "Yeah, you got to get rid of him because he's not politically where you want him to be." If we have our monetary policy in this country dictated by politics, we will be in trouble monetarily in this country. And so, Jerome Powell is right. I happen to like Jerome Powell. I happen to like him a lot. When he got appointed, there were Democrats that said, "Don't appoint this guy. He's not far enough to the left." You got Republicans saying he's not far enough to the right. The dude is a good dude. He knows his stuff. He's smart as hell. And if you start, and every decision he's made, I have not agreed with. But the bottom line is, if you start firing people based upon what you think politically should happen within our monetary system, Katie, bar the door. Katie, bar the door. It will not be good for our financial system in this country.
So much being politicized, so many different fields and systems being politicized now. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court helped expand presidential power on Tuesday. They put a temporary pause on a court order that said Trump cannot gut the Department of Education as it moves through the legal channels. So basically, lifted that
Yeah, they made it so we can get it again. Is that what you're saying?
for now. Yeah. So it's, this is moving through the legal channels, and I'm not a lawyer, but my understanding of it is that this lower court basically said Trump cannot gut the Department of Education, and then the Supreme Court put a stay
Yeah,
on
no,
that. So they
go ahead
said,
and
"No,
gut it.
no, go ahead."
Yeah, well, the Supreme Court's not very smart. They should go back to school and learn how important public education is the foundation of this country's economy and our democracy as a whole. I mean, I don't get it. I don't know what the end game here is, but if the end game is to make people stupider, they'll accomplish that. I don't think that's good for our democracy, and I don't think it's good for our economy.
Okay, Epstein, 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 Epstein. That's all we're talking about. It's all we're hearing about. We are seeing a lot of Republicans on Capitol Hill break with the president over releasing these Epstein files. The president has been increasingly frustrated that people are still asking about Epstein, trying to make it go away. It's not going away. Speaker Mike Johnson is calling for transparency, along with Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, Senator John Kennedy. But we have Senate Majority Leader Thune saying it's the president's decision. Meanwhile, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene are under fire because she's calling for transparency, and yet she didn't vote for this measure that would have moved it along in the House, that would have forced the administration to release the files.
It should be under fire, and that's why people don't like politicians because they say one thing and do another. And bottom line is, we saw it on public lands. We're seeing it on this. People want transparency. They want transparency in this matter. Look, in the overall scheme of things, probably not that big of a deal, but the transparency part of this is huge. And so, what the president ought to do is come clean and release the list that everybody knows they've got, even though they're denying it exists now. And so
Well,
that's it.
they're blaming it on
As far as Marjorie Taylor Greene, the rest of those the yokels do. They've learned pretty well from the president. When the president stands up and says, well, we're going to do this, and then does exactly the opposite when it comes to policy or when it comes to executive orders. And
Uh,
so that's kind of the way things are right now.
yeah. Yeah. It's something to watch. I don't think we're at the end of that drama, and, where there's smoke, there's fire. That smoke just keeps getting thicker because Wired is reporting that the newly released FBI Epstein prison video that was released last week had nearly 3 minutes totally cut out of it, stitched back together. That's according to metadata.
Yeah. I mean, it just goes back to the whole thing. What do you got to hide? What are you worried about? If everybody says that, this is nothing to be sweating, why are people all sweating it?
That's
Let the
what's
information out.
That's
Let
what's so
people know what's
interesting to
going on.
me. Like, Trump is now turning to Biden, Obama, and Hillary Clinton and saying it's a hoax and something made up by them. And, Sharon McMahon, who's one of my favorite influencers, she said, okay, well, if that's the case, show us the evidence.
Yeah.
Show us the evidence that this is a hoax. It,
It's kind of like Christine Ohm saying, well, there weren't thousands and thousands of calls that weren't answered when that flood hit Texas. Well, prove it.
prove it.
The
Yeah.
truth is everybody knows there was because you fired a bunch of people that were responsible for answering those phones. So look, same thing here. I don't know. If you were head of the Department of Justice, things wouldn't be this way.
If I were, yeah, we'd be in worse trouble if I were. 'Cause
Oh
I don't know
no.
what I'm doing. We talk about this a lot with Michael Cohen. He doesn't I'm fascinated by his take because he doesn't share in the conspiracy theories or I don't even know if they're conspiracy theories anymore because 'cause I'm hearing so many people say, "What the hell is going on with Jeffrey Epstein?" Democrats, Republicans, independents, like something smells off, right? There's somebody's lying about something, but he says he doesn't, he doesn't buy into that.
Well, the longer the people know that there's information out there that hasn't been released, the longer that goes on, the more people are going to think, well, there's more to this than what the people are saying. This is a bigger deal than what people are saying. It is much bigger than what I thought. And so what the hell? Get the information out. It's a good deal. I said this the other day, but one of the first things that President Trump did when he got into office is he released the JFK files. We haven't heard anything about him, by the way, that there was anything in there that was different than what history has told us, even though I was one who doubted history too. But the truth is that uh, he's willing to do that. Do this, release it, release the stuff. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
JFK is a bigger, much, much, much bigger deal than this. Okay, and you release that, release this.
There are a couple more headlines. We're running out of time, but I just want to mention that the Trump administration resumed sending immigrants on third country deportation flights. They sent 5 detainees to a small nation in southern Africa, and this comes after guidance that ICE can deport migrants to these third countries as soon as 6 hours after detaining them. And they also say they don't need assurances that the detainees won't be persecuted or tortured. And basically, last month, the Supreme Court said, yeah, that's okay.
Well, I don't know, man. Read the Constitution. I mean, really read the Constitution, and we're going to treat people like animals, and it's going to come back and bite you. And that's exactly what's going on. They ought
Yeah.
to.
I just feel for those
Due
people.
process is really important. These are people that have families, they've got lives. You just don't do this to people. It's not what the United States stands for. It's just not.
And in that column, I'll give you another headline. The Atlantic reports that the Trump administration is about to literally incinerate 500 tons of emergency food. Instead of actually sending it to people who need it, they report this is enough food to feed 1.5 million kids for a week. They're these like biscuits that are highly nutritious and packed with calories. It's about to expire, and sources tell the reporter who wrote this that it will be ash in 2 weeks. This food was supposed to go to kids, in Afghanistan and Pakistan.
So for the listeners out there that think they have common sense, tell me what sense this makes. Tell me what good this does anybody. You've got the food, it's already there. You got hungry people all over the world. I don't care if it's Pakistan, Afghanistan, I don't care where it's at in the world. Get it to people who can use it. I mean, doesn't that make more sense? Doesn't that make more sense to you? It certainly does to me. Burning it up doesn't make any sense. That's wasting a valuable resource. And
Feels cruel. It feels cruel.
yeah, it feels stupid to me, quite frankly. Just really stupid.
Yeah.
Maybe there's cruelty involved too.
Well,
Probably
like
usually
you
are.
they're starving children, and even if it expires, if it's a few days expired, I mean, I don't know. They're starving kids in America who could probably use that. Okay, so that's it for headlines. I had
Here's a,
more, but
here's a
what?
little news break for you.
Oh,
That expired code on those packages is just a code somebody made up to put on those packages. I've eaten a lot of expired food in my lifetime, and it probably shows. Well, I doesn't hurt me a bit.
is that the secret? Is that the secret Cory Booker was trying to get you to spill?
Lose weight.
Yeah, yeah. This is our lifestyle podcast now. Food
All
tips
right.
and tester:
So
eat expired food.
I'm gonna tell you, no, that's not what you do. But I'm saying eating
Yeah.
expired food isn't the end of the world. But I'm gonna tell you what Booker does, and
Okay.
this is why Booker and I are different. I sit down and I have beef or chicken or pork, and then I have a salad, and maybe a carb spud or rice or whatever. He sits down, and this happened every week in caucus, and eats a plate, and I'm talking a plate this big full of broccoli. No cheese on it, no milk on it, no fancy sauce on it.
Milk
Just,
on it.
I don't know. There's a
Don't
milk.
put milk on broccoli.
I have a milk sauce you have. Okay. Give
Creamy
me
sauce. Okay.
a break. I'm not a cook. Okay. I make Wheaties. That's it. And, he eats his damn plate of broccoli, you know?
That's it?
So just, that's it. That's it.
I'm gonna
And
have to fact check
you
this.
wonder if you've got a tough life or not. If you eat broccoli every day for every meal, because he's got to be doing the same thing for breakfast and supper, that's a tough life. Hungry.
Something tells me that's not accurate, but
Oh, it's 100% accurate. It's 100%
for
accurate.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner, Cory Booker only eats plain broccoli.
Well, it's something just, I mean, and it's probably yellow waxy beans if it's not broccoli. Okay.
Okay, okay. We'll
The
get
only
to the
thing that's
bottom of
worse
it.
than that.
And right now, we are going to seg into our chat that was recorded live on Substack with former Trump fixer Michael Cohen. We hope you enjoy it.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here raw and unfiltered. I have two new guests with me today. I have Maritza from Grounded Podcast, and I have Senator John Tester from Montana. From Montana, right? Well, listen, my friends, there's so much for us to be talking about. Want to give everybody a chance to finally, get into the room with us here because there's a lot to talk about. Again, Maritza is with Grounded Podcast, and we also have Senator John Tester. So let me turn around and say this to each and every one of you. All right. If you are a subscriber of mine, please make sure that you subscribe to their Substacks as well. Obviously important, helping to build our community. You hear me talk about that on a daily basis. Let me start off with the good senator. Sir, how are you? What are you
Yeah,
up to today?
I'm doing good. It rained yesterday. It's the wrong time of year for rain if you're in agriculture in Montana, but it's so we're doing odds and ends. We're working in the shop and doing stuff like that today. Um, but things are going good. People were harvesting before the rain. I'm not gonna be starting because I got a spring wheat for about 3 weeks, but we've got the hay pretty much put up and things are good. Can I ask you a question though, Michael?
Well, before we do that, we can't ignore Marissa, right?
Well, thanks, Michael. I mean, he has a lot of questions, I know that, but I appreciate you having us on. And I'll just say for everybody out there, my name's Maritza. It rhymes with pizza, but don't confuse that because I had a lot of QAnon people come after me for the pizza slice emoji in my profile.
Oh my
You,
God.
you can't make this stuff up. Sending us what's on your mind. And
Well,
by the
so
way, please, something that you need to tell all as you go live with
yeah,
people and become more and more acclimated to
yeah.
Substack, though, like all these platforms, Substack has its own problems too. You see the heart that people are doing, my friends that are on there? Keep smashing the shit out of the heart. What it does is it helps in order to somehow it plays with the algorithm. The more hearts that go, the more people end
Oh,
up joining. Yeah, a lot of it has to do with the number of hearts. So, like I said, to the 400 plus that are with us, smash the shit out of it. And that little square box with the up arrow, that's how you share it with family, friends, with your next door neighbors, your colleagues, your postman, your masseuse, right? It doesn't make a difference. Share it with everybody because the whole goal here is to build this community. And, after you guys, I'm going to be doing my Raw and Unfiltered. I do it every Wednesday with Joe Walsh. It's Walsh
Hmm.
Wednesday at 4 o'clock. Senator, you had a question.
so I want to go back. I want to go back. I want to go back before the first term. I want to go back when Trump was running the first time around. And I say this as somebody who was in the Senate for 18 years as a Democrat. And this new guy came out and was running for president. And his name was Donald Trump. He was a businessman from New York City. And there was a lot of questions whether he was actually a Republican or not.
So over the course of history, Trump has been all three. And by the way, Shirley, thank you. She's talking about my article in the comments section. The coup MAGA didn't see coming. I do truly believe that it is the perfect explanation of everything that's going on right now in MAGA and all of these attacks that are going on against the president from MAGA by Steve Bannon, by guys like Tucker Carlson. But, Senator, to answer your question, Donald has actually been all three parties over the course of his lifetime. He was Republican, he's been Democrat, he was independent, he went back to the Republican Party because the Democratic Party wouldn't have him. Remember, that's one of the big problems with the system and having a two-party system. It's not up to you as the candidate. It takes a lot of balls and a lot of money to end up running um uh, a an election, right? A candidacy when you don't have the party on your side. And the party, they're not interested in Michael Cohen. Not unless Michael Cohen has done what they need you to do year in and year out, year in and year. You have to wait your turn. The problem is waiting your turn. By the time you become ready for your turn, you're what they call in Yiddish a fucking alta kaka, meaning an old pisser, right? Where you end up like a Jerry Nadler, or you end up like too many of our members of Congress are all octogenarian. It's like a fucking retirement home. If you think about it, they're not up to date on anything. They talk about AI like it's putting the buttons into an elevator as opposed to having an elevator operator, stop on each floor. Oh my God, technology is great. They don't understand it because they're still living in the day of the Victrola radio.
Well, that, that's a hell of an answer, Michael. I mean, I think that's pretty good. So, so look,
Could you imagine if the Democratic Party would, and I've been a Democrat my whole life. By the way, just so you know, I worked. My very first job was when I was in college in 1987. I was a junior all the way through my senior year, 88. I worked for Congressman Joe Moakley. And I got to tell you, I truly enjoyed it. It was sort of my foray into politics. I enjoyed him very much. I enjoyed, working in Congress. And I'll tell you what I saw back then is so different than what we see, now, where Republicans and Democrats work together. They may not have liked each other politically or based on policy, but they still work together, each side trying to reduce the potency of the poison, right, that would ultimately become the bill. But they did still work together to accomplish something. But
Yep.
could you imagine, John, if hypothetically the Democratic Party would embrace me, whether it was Biden's stupid ass team or worse than Biden's was Kamala Harris's? They were so fucking inept. Really, they were. I would call and say, you know that you're running the game against Trump wrong. What do you know? I don't know. I was by the guy's side for 15 years. I started the entire campaign, right? We took a guy who wasn't supposed to win against the Clinton machine, and we beat the shit out of you. So what do I know? Maybe a little bit more than you 28-year-old fucknut. I mean, that's really the truth. They have no idea how to fight the guy.
So you've just said he's been all three and maybe even more than that. What's his? I mean, you know him. What's his end game? What's the end game? Is it to destroy democracy? Is it to make this a totalitarian government? Is it just to make himself rich? What's the end game here?
Probably two out of the three there. He doesn't want to destroy democracy. He does want to change it, and change it where he ultimately becomes the monarch, the supreme leader, the ruler for at least the course of his life. And I wouldn't be shocked if all of this stuff with the Jeffrey Epstein file and the MAGA attitude towards him changing, if that goes back, and don't think it might not. I believe that it probably will. He'll be able to delay this and to distort it and to deflect on it as he has done so much. We can't take our foot off the gas in terms of holding these people accountable, because personally, I would like to see the file. But Trump has, it's not even about him wanting to make money as a result of the presidency. He has made money. And this time around, he's learned a whole lot more from the first time around. Do you know, Senator, how much money that Trump has made? And this is only the part that you could verify. How much money, or Maritza, how much money, that rhymes with pizza, how much money do you think that Trump and the organization have made since he became president-elect?
I mean, I would say over $1 billion.
Senator?
Yeah, if you're counting the $400 million plane from Qatar, which you need to count, because he gets it in the end, I'd say it's $1 billion and a half. I'll say $1.5 billion.
$10 billion.
Oh,
10
shit.
billion. Okay. Do you know that just on the crypto alone, on the coin, the Liberty coin, he's made over $4 billion just on the coin, on his Truth Social, right? Just take the number of shares that he owns and multiply it by the, by the cost if you wanted to go online and purchase.
Yeah.
Well, we're doing something wrong, Senator. We're just trying to get people to come on Substack. We're doing something wrong, I guess. But I do want to ask you, Michael, it's Epstein. I keep thinking about, the Hydra in Greek mythology here, because it seems like every time the president wants it to go away and he tries to cut off the head, 3 more heads grow in its place. And it's
Isn't
old
that from,
people are talking about.
Maritza, isn't that from Captain America?
Well, that's based on Greek mythology. I'm Greek. I gotta go there, But you wrote this morning, the coup isn't coming, it's here. So you were his former fixer. Is there any way out of this for
In
him?
terms of what?
Of making Epstein go away. Because that seems to be the thing that people are fixated on. It's not Medicaid cuts. It's not USAID. It's not, the masked ICE agents rounding people up and sending to third countries. It's the Epstein files.
Yeah. Well, the Epstein files is a really interesting scenario, and I kind of lay it out in both the subtitle and the very first paragraph. The rest, really sort of delves in and explains it. But as I put in the subtitle, as MAGA demands truth about Epstein, Bannon, Carlson, and others are exploiting the silence, launching a ruthless coup to seize the movement and crown themselves kings. This is very historical if you think about it. It's like the movie Gladiator, right? Where they were going to turn Rome over to the Senate. What's his name? What was his name? Max Aurelius, whatever, right? Uh, my point is, they all want to be kings themselves. And the reason that MAGA is taking this so hard, because you're right, they didn't take the anti-Semitism hard. They don't take the brutality against undocumented migrants hard. They don't take the cutting off of USAID hard, or the war going on with Ukraine and the need. Yes, Russell Crowe, Maggie. I was thinking about what was his name? The Caesar, Aurelius, whatever. Anyway, you should know this. You're Greek.
She's Greek. She's very Greek.
Rome. What's the difference?
Oh boy, don't say that to my dad.
Right, right. Roman, the mythology. They're all based off the same.
They're connected.
So meanwhile, look, as I wrote, they call it loyalty, right? These folks, they tattoo Trump's face on their arms and on their calves. They fly Trump one flags on their lawns, on the tops of their barns, and then they chant, "Save the children," like it's scripture. But what happens when the people who wrap themselves in that loyalty like a flag start to realize that they've been had? And not by the so-called deep state, not by Democrats, but by the very right-wing heroes that they worshiped. What happens when the betrayal comes from inside the house? That's what's driving them crazy, is that forever and ever and ever, they have heard the loyalists, the Pam Bondis, the Kash Patels, the Steve Bannons, the Tucker Carlsons, the Laura Ingrahams, the Sean Hannitys. It's all about what? It's all about this Democratic cabal like Pizzagate, whereby the Democrats and the powerful elite are out there selling off or using children in a sex trafficking, plot. Well, now all of a sudden, during the last, I don't know how many years, 4 or 5 years, all you've been hearing is that when I'm president again, I'm going to release the Jeffrey Epstein file, and I'm going to expose all of this. The largest child sex trafficking conspiracy of our time, right? And that's what they want. Unfortunately, what they found out is that they got played. They got played by all of them. And now, when you start to see the Republicans, what was it? Only one came out and voted for the release? One. You can't even get 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 Republicans to turn around and to say, we want for us as members of Congress to be able to see these files.
That's what makes me wonder if the public will turn on their representatives in Congress, because I see all these comments all the time on Truth Social. We're disappointed. Release the files. But I want to know, Michael. I mean,
I think that, by the way, I think they're going to, what do you call it? I think they'll turn on their representatives, their members of Congress, their senators, and so on, much faster than they will on Trump. Don't count the man out. We have watched, and I was on Andy Ostroy's show before, and I write about it again in my Substack. I turn around and I said, no joke. We have watched Trump from the very first day he came down the golden escalators and turned around and said that Mexicans are drug addicts, murderers, rapists, but don't worry, some are decent people. We watched, and then you have Mexicans for Trump, right? You saw a bunch of neo-Nazis walking down Charlottesville with tiki torches, screaming, "Jews will not replace us." And then all of a sudden, you have a large swath of the Jewish American population voting for Trump. You turn around and you see people like from Cuba or San Salvador, Venezuela, the same people that they're out there deporting, right? Turning around. And these were people that voted for him, that wore the MAGA flag, that bought the red hats, and so on. So don't think for a second that Trump is out. And I can give you a hundred of these examples. And those people that are counting Trump out, you're making a big mistake.
So what can you tell us about the Trump relationship with Epstein? Because he keeps saying, why do we keep talking about this guy? And he said he had a falling out with him 15 years before the arrest. So what do you know about that? I mean, did you
So,
ever deal with him?
so Maurice, a little bit disappointed in the question because, as I have said the other day on my other Substack, I have answered this question 1,000
Yeah.
times. 1,000. The relationship between Trump and Jeffrey Epstein existed from like 1988 to like 2003, 2004.
Before Michael Cohen.
2004 being someone between 1 to 2 years before I even came into Trump's orbit. But the real relationship was 88 to like 92, 93, 94, give or take, when all of those photos that you constantly see took place. 1988, I was graduating college. 1991, I finished law school, took the bar. 92, I was admitted and I was working doing medical malpractice and tort litigation. I was not in Trump's orbit. So I have no firsthand knowledge about the relationship other than to turn around and to see the same photos that everybody else.
Yeah.
But my orbit came into contact with Trump in 2005 in that area, but on a permanent basis in 2007 when I took on the position as executive vice president at the Trump Org and special counsel to Donald, where I stayed for 13 years. All right. So the relationship's 13 years. During that time period, I never once met Jeffrey Epstein. I never met him in my whole life. I never heard him. I never spoke to him. I never came into the office and I was there 20 times a day minimum. I never heard him on the telephone talking to Jeffrey Epstein. He never brought up Jeffrey Epstein in terms of anything. I never heard of the two of them going for a bite to eat or coming to the Trump Tower for lunch. Nothing. There was no relationship. Now, according to Michael Wolff, who is going to be on my podcast, Mea Culpa, on Friday, he explained to me where the fight started. And it culminated in around 2004 over a real estate deal in Palm Beach that Epstein brought Trump to for his advice. Trump somehow managed to get the property from him. It was in a bankruptcy, bought it, and then 2 years later, well, it wasn't really two, it was more like 3.5 years later, because I was involved in it, we sold that property to a Russian oligarch, Dmitry Rybolovlev, for $95 million. Trump made over $50 million on that deal. Suffice it to say, when Trump bought it from underneath Epstein, that supposedly is what killed the relationship.
So,
hey, John, let me ask you.
Two questions. Two questions really quick. What do you think happened to Epstein? Your perspective.
I think I was contacted by his brother, Mark. I have a company called Crisis X, where it's a crisis management. We do a lot of work in terms of helping to manage these sort of crises in a way that I used to do the same, say, for Trump years ago. Mark wanted to hire me to investigate and to come up with an answer as to how Jeffrey died. I didn't take the case. On top of that, I believe that Jeffrey killed himself several days before going in. He ended up changing the will, which is obviously one sign. Number two, I could understand he wasn't well, he had health problems, and he knew as a pedophile in prison that it was going to be a very difficult life sentence, which he believed that he was going to ultimately receive. And so he took the opportunity, as anybody can. It's not difficult to kill yourself when you're in prison, and I believe that he did it.
Okay. And then the
And
next
if I could even
question.
go one step further, not to be callous, as I said to Mark, and I said the same thing, I don't want to minimize your pain. He's your brother. I get it. I don't care. It's he took as far as I'm concerned, he took the coward's way out.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about the victims. I keep thinking about the victims in all of this with his name just coming up over and over again. Sorry, go ahead, Senator.
Senator, let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Why do you think the Republicans have lost their spine? Why have they become the feckless fuckers that I call them on a daily basis? That a Republican cannot turn around and vote alongside Democrats in order to see information like this? And why is it that Democrats are so stymied when it comes to working across the aisle?
Couple things. I think that there has been a track record of people who have opposed Trump that are no longer in office. And I just think that there's been a lot of bad shit that's happened in both terms, but especially the second one, especially with starts with the cabinet picks and goes down the line. And I just think they're afraid of their primary voter base, the MAGA base, and the Republican voter base. He's still very well liked in the Republican Party, and they're afraid that if he comes out like he has done many, many, many times and says we're going to get a primary opponent to run against you, I think they think that that will be the end of their public service. I have a different perspective as far as public service goes. That serving in the U.S. Senate was a great job, an incredible honor, but it ain't the best job I ever had. So why not do the right thing? And if it takes you out, at least you can sleep at night. But the real problem is that there's, and I say this and I get a lot of feedback that these aren't good people. They are good people. There's good people on both sides of the aisle back there that are trying to do the right thing, and they're not doing the right thing. They're not holding people accountable. They're not doing the investigations, and it goes up and down the list. It's part of their job, and they've given it up. And why they would cede their authority to the executive branch, I do not know. By the same way that I don't know why the groups of people you just talked about are supporting Trump after what Trump has done to those different groups of people. I can't. I don't have an answer for that. Maybe you do, but
I don't.
but the bottom line,
I truly don't. I'm like, look,
yeah,
I fully understand that they want to keep their power.
yeah.
Many of my of our followers right now, are saying the exact same thing. They don't really care about, they don't really care about the issue. They care about their own power, remaining in power, and it's not what people like Adam Kinzinger or
Yeah.
you know
Liz
Liz
Cheney,
Cheney,
yeah,
and a handful of others, have chosen to do. But
yeah,
this staying silent and
yep.
then demonstrating the outrage and the performative outrage that they do. It's just it's abhorrent. And as abhorrent as the Republicans are in their expression of outrage, I find my own party, the Democrats, are even worse. They're
I,
even
Well,
worse.
I want to. I'm also going to back up a little bit because when he ran in 2016, I don't think there was a Democrat out there that didn't think they could work with Donald Trump. And it turned out to be just the opposite. If you had a D by your name, he tried to alienate you immediately. He did it. He did it to me. I mean, I'm one of the most bipartisan guys out there. I don't care what color you're wearing. If it's good for the country, I'm going to support it. I couldn't do anything with Donald Trump when I was in the Senate. Although I did get a bunch of bills passed but he had to sign them. He had no choice because they were for veterans. But the bottom line is that he really alienated them, and I don't. I really don't think to this day, and there's a lot of smart people in the Senate, I don't know that they know how to deal with him in a way that is effective, in a way that holds him accountable, in a way that you can be the loyal opposition, which is what the Democrats are right now. And I just don't think they found their land legs. I think that there are different things that have happened that have been really, really good. I think Booker doing his 25, 27-hour filibuster was good. I think some of the things that Chris Murphy's doing is good. I think some of the stuff that Angus King has done is good. I mean, there's different things that are good, but they don't have a concrete plan on how to go after Donald Trump to hold him accountable. And I think that's what everybody's waiting for.
So,
It's what
Senator,
Democrats are waiting for too.
let me ask this, because you said that you thought that what Cory Booker had done, the 25 plus hours of the filibuster. Two quick questions for you. Why do you think that it was good? And more importantly, what do you think it even accomplished?
In the end, I don't know that it accomplished any more than drawing people's attention to what's going on in the Senate and talking about why things are upside down there. It needs to be followed up over and over again. You know this. You can't tell people something once and it goes over with and it's over with. You have to repeat it. And there needs to be a better plan by Democrats on how to hold the president accountable. I think Booker at least brought attention to the Senate and what Democrats were doing for a period of time. That has since faded. There's no doubt about that. It has since faded. But it was a start, and it was something that nobody else had done, and because nobody had done anything up to that point in time. So I applaud the effort. And I think there have been some other things that have been done that people have statements that have made to the press that are good. But I will tell you that I don't think this is my opinion, and I'm not back there. I'm not in those walls. By the way, which is another impact of why people don't stand up against him, is because they're around a bunch of other people that are saying, no, don't do that. If you do that, that'll be bad. We might not win North Carolina or Maine or Iowa or wherever if you stand up against them. I think it's just the opposite, by the way. I think by the time the 28 election gets here, people are going to see, hey, those tariffs, that was bullshit. Hey, what's gone on with kicking people out with no due process? That's kind of anti-constitution. It is. And I think that they'll have to pay a price for that. If they don't, then this country will have changed forever in a way that it was never when I grew up in it. So that's where we're
I
at.
mean,
I
Michael,
hope I answer your question.
Michael, what would you say to those people, though? I mean, we're seeing Marjorie Taylor Greene's going on and saying release the files, but then she votes against that measure that would actually advance something. Like, what would you say to those people? Because you stood by him for a while until you didn't. What can they learn from your awakening?
Well, what could they learn? Clearly nothing, because I think they're too stupid to learn anything. Unfortunately, no, and I mean it. What they need to do is they need to start working across the aisle. And I get it. I get it. Politics today has become a win-win or a lose-lose scenario. And their belief system is what's screwed up. Yes, it's all theater. I agree with you. Everything is performative, where in order for me, assuming that I was your counterpart, John, in order for me to win, you have to lose everything. Well, I say, how about just water down the poison, right? Come up with something that benefits the American people, because if one party, which is basically almost 50% of the country, and the other party that won slightly greater than the 50%, you know how many people are on that losing side? And now you're talking about the loss of Medicare, Medicaid, potential Social Security issues. Yeah, I mean, it's again, it's sweeping. The bills that they're putting out there are sweeping, and they are all coming from the Heritage Foundation, from this Russell Voughton Project 2025. And I stood on top of the buildings screaming, stupids, read Project 2025. If you're going to read anything, forget about my book, forget about this guy's book, forget about all that shit. Go online, get your fucking Kindle, and read the 1,200 page, whatever it is, Project 2025, and understand that this is exactly what they're going to do. Now, had they gone ahead and done that, well, then they would understand that every single thing that you see happening right now, has already been told to us in advance that he was intending on doing it. He himself, Donald turned around and said early on, he intends to rewrite the Constitution. And he's doing that on a daily basis. He is stripping the legislative and the judiciary of their powers, and he is conferring all power to himself via these executive orders and the taking of all of the power, thereby destroying checks and balances and our tripartite system of government. He told us he was going to do it.
And thanks for that, by the way, Michael. I would also add one more thing that I think contributes to all this in a big, big way, and that's the amount of money in these campaigns. Uh, the fact is, I think we're seeing a lot of decisions being made based upon donations from big corporations, big money people that would never have happened before Citizens United, and that I think helps add to the corruption, quite frankly.
Well, I remember when I was in prison, one of the books out of the 97 books that I read there in 13 months, one of the books was Dark Money, which was sort of an analysis on exactly, this scenario. But dark money has been in politics for a very, very long time. It is just now over the top. In fact, you have somebody like an Elon Musk or a Zuckerberg or a Jeff Bezos. Truth be told, you don't even need to raise a single dollar. All you need is one of them to back you. I mean, when you're worth $400 billion, does it not make sense to turn around and to take $1 billion? You're going to make that money back in less than a year, right? Just on your interests alone, and you funded an entire campaign. So, all of these small dollar donors, that's the problem. These campaigns, if there's anything that the Zohran Mamdani has taught New York and should be teaching America, and personally, I want to just say I don't like the guy at all. I don't believe in what he's saying, and I know the industries that he's going to be affecting better than he. He has already shown that it's not about the money. It's about guerrilla marketing. It's about guerrilla campaigning. You got to go door to door, even if you're in a city like New York. You got to stand on the street corners, meet the people. It didn't make a difference that Cuomo had like 40 million in the bank. Didn't matter that he had name recognition going back 50 years. Mamdani took them by a large margin because he did guerrilla marketing and he did literally guerrilla grassroots campaigning.
The senator and I were at the memorial yesterday for Representative Pat Williams, who served in Congress for 18 years for the state of Montana. And he did 51,000 doors in his early days in the late 1970s. 51,000 doors in Montana. That was a big deal. And I think you're onto something. I mean, I think we need to get back to that, Michael. I agree.
I spoke to so many people over the course of the last, let's just say, year. And I've asked them, why are you vociferating as to whether it's Kamala Harris or Donald Trump? Why? And their comment to me is, well, the only times that Democrats ever come around is right before elections when they need my vote. And I don't trust them. And that's a big problem. It's a very, very big, big problem. And these young kids today, especially the Gen Zers, I hate to say it, the Donald Trump of the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s, they don't know who he is. They weren't even born yet. They only know The Apprentice. They only know Trump is president and then losing and then now retaking the White House. It's a different scenario that people aren't looking at and they're not talking about. We need to get back to grassroots. We need to come to Montana, the three of us, to sit in front of a town hall and to explain to people why so-and-so is the better choice. Why what's happening in D.C. right now, the chaos, needs to stop. These are the things that you need to do. You need to bring people back into the community to make them feel wanted and part of the community, as opposed to being disenfranchised and ignored. And that's something that Trump did very well.
Yep, and I think Democrats do have an opportunity in that because Republicans aren't doing town halls anymore. There hasn't been a Republican town hall in Montana in 4 or 5 years, for God's sakes. They do these phony telephone town halls, but they don't do the in-person stuff.
Yeah, will you blame them? You saw how badly they were getting beaten up because right now America is chaotic. One of the things, like what Jamie Harrison, trying to work with Jamie Harrison was an impossibility. As many times as I reached out to him, Michael Cohen, could not receive back a phone call from him or even anyone in his office. It's amazing. I'll tell you what else is amazing. Every time after I would leave a message, you know what I would get? I would get a text message that would say, hey, donate $5, $10, $15. We have to raise more money. The Republicans are out there with the mega billionaires. How about this? How about go fuck yourself in Macy's window so that we can all watch? Then I'll give you $5. All right? We'll fucking make it rain. What a bunch of assholes. Serious. It's like, I'm saying to you, what you're doing is wrong. And the best that you can do is ask me for $5, $10, $50, $100. I mean, it was unbelievable. You don't win based off of money. You know who wins based off money? The guy who's actually the finance chair, who's taking a piece of whatever gets collected. That's who's raising the money. The rest of it is bullshit. And Mandani showed that. Get out there. Let's meet the people. Some people will curse you out. They'll yell at you. They'll scream at you. I don't care. I don't care. Say to me whatever you want, but just be factually right.
Michael, I want to know, like, Epstein is the issue du jour, right? And this is the issue that
Of the
has
day.
caused this a major fracture inside MAGA. Based on what you know, based on your experiences with Trump, like, what, we thought all these other things might make people upset, but this is it. So what else? What are the other issues that maybe are right in front of our face that could actually further that divide?
I don't have the answer to that one. It's a question that would just basically be me, sort of speculating. Things that I thought would have been the death punch to Trump did not, like the overturning of Roe versus Wade, telling a woman, and I believe that there are more women in America than men, telling a woman that she's not smart enough to be able to make her own reproductive decision makings. Really? Especially after the Netflix show The Handmaid's Tale, that any woman, young, old, would vote for somebody who thinks that that's the right way to go, that you're going to basically protect the child in utero, but the second that they're born, fuck it, sex traffic them. We don't care. We don't care if they get to eat. We don't care if they have some sort of a emotional or an educational issue. We're not going to help them, but we're going to protect you when you're in utero. I mean, this to me, it was, I thought, the death punch, but it wasn't. And neither were the comments about the Nazis, neither were the comments about Mexicans or the illegal immigrants. When they started putting up those placards, mass deportation now, I thought to myself, well, as the son of an immigrant, my father being a Holocaust survivor, I didn't understand how anybody can go along with that. And when I started, listening to, again, the mass deportations now, and you have so many Hispanic and immigrants that are in this country, first generation, second generation, or not even first generation, just they themselves. How is it that he's going to be able to win? Well, he didn't just win. He kicked our asses. And until Democrats start owning the truth ourselves, you can't move on. He kicked our ass. 7 swing states, he won them all. Imagine that. All 7. It wasn't like 4 out of 7, 5 out of 7. He took them all. What they did is they picked off small little groups, enough in order to win each state. They played the numbers. And let me be clear, if we don't start waking up, if people like, well, now it's Ken Martin, if they don't start waking up and understanding that what they think they know and the game that they think that they know how to play is a failing game, don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if 2026 doesn't go the way that we're talking.
Well, we have some Montanans on here commenting and clamoring for the 3 of us to do some kind of town hall in Montana. They're saying Butte or Anaconda. What do you think, Senator?
That'd be great. We love them both. We love them all. That'd be good. I don't know, Cohen. You don't sound like a guy from Butte, though.
I don't?
No, you talk about making it rain here a minute ago. I mean, it's a different kind of rain that I'm used to talking about.
I don't know. I'm sure you have gentlemen clubs over there in Butte. Tell me whatever you want. Oh, shit. If you push me to it, I'm gonna. You know what? Fuck that. I'm gonna look it up right now on my computer, and I'll tell you exactly where it is. And I'm gonna ask you, Senator, if you've ever been there. And by the way, yeah, I mean, there are people like, I came into contact with Sage the Fox, who's a young woman who's running for Congress in Arizona. I support her as well. I want to see some young people. I want to see some young people. Everybody I believe in term limits. I also believe in term limits for Supreme Court. I believe in federal court. Nobody should have a job for life. When you have a job for life, that means you have no accountability.
Yeah, well, I agree with the young people. We need to get more young people into business. And that's a fact.
Yep.
Recycling folks like me is not the way to go. I'll just tell you.
Up to a certain point, it most certainly is. But then there comes a point in time that you got to pass down the mantle, right? You got to just let it on. So let me thank you. Senator, let me give you some last closing, rights here, and then we'll let Maritza, that rhymes with pizza, do the same.
Well, thanks. Well, first of all, just appreciate the opportunity to visit with you, Michael. I mean, you don't know this, but I actually saw you many, many years ago in a bar in New York City. I was there. I had done the Rachel Maddow show, and it was afterwards, and we were having drinks, and you were there. And if it wasn't you, it was somebody that looked just like you. And
no, it was me.
There can't be anybody this charming that looks like you, in New York City, right? There's only one of you, right? But pleasure to be with you. Pleasure to visit with you. I think your voice is an important one, and and I think it's one that people need to pay attention to.
I appreciate it. And Maritza.
Yeah, well, I just want to say thank you so much, and I think you hit it right, the nail on the head. Like I said, we were at this memorial service yesterday, and everybody kind of gathered around and said, "What needs to be done here? How can we form community?" And especially, in my field in journalism, when so many people are getting laid off or going away or leaving, or the networks are capitulating, and these independent communities really matter so much. And so that's kind of why Senator Tester and I started the Grounded podcast, and we just so appreciate you chatting with us today, Michael.
And we'll definitely do it again. Look forward to coming on your podcast. I know I'm going to ask the senator to join me on my mea culpa. By the way, we've turned over 500 million downloads on mea culpa.
Ooh.
So it's a little pat on the old back there. Thank you both. And 100%, we should definitely do a town hall. By the way, maybe we do it in both the areas.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. Montanans may not understand or appreciate the lack of my, let's just say, Midwestern drawl and so on. But one thing that they do appreciate is straight talk. I mean, that's the one thing that, to those that, are big landowners, farms, and, working, just all people. They appreciate honesty and straightforward. They may not like my vernacular, but one thing they do is they certainly appreciate the truth. Everybody
Well,
deserves the truth.
I like the no bullshit Substack. I like that a lot. Okay.
Yeah, well, that's what we got. Well, thank you to both of you, and again to everybody else. Please keep smashing the hearts. Please share this with family, friends, and please follow both John as well as Maritza. Uh, you know how to do that. Thank you both, and I will see you both very, very soon.
Thank you, Michael.
You bet. Take care. I'm going to tell you, I just tell you this right up front. I like the accent. I mean, I do. There's something about that. It makes me feel like I'm talking to, you know, I don't know, somebody. But
Somebody.
yeah, but you know, he's definitely opinionated. He definitely is a straight talker. And he doesn't mince words. So it's kind of cool.
I cannot wait to see Michael Cohen walking through like Uptown Butte.
Yeah, and I was going to tell you the Butte and Anaconda are relatively close by Montana standards, but I figured out what the hell, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We know that. And we know there's like a little bit of a rivalry there. But hey, I think, you, me, and Michael Cohen and Butte having a little town hall, that'd be kind of fun.
That does get rough. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Ooh, yes, it does. So I want to talk a little bit about Pat's memorial, Pat Williams Memorial. We were there and wow, just, to see so many people that we both know, and who've met and spent time with over the years, and to be there and to be reminded of all the things that Pat Williams did, not just for Montana, but for the country. It was beautifully done, and it also felt like I've been saying this, like this larger turning of the page, with his death, like this end of an era in politics, really just gone.
Yeah, look, I think it was a really nice ceremony. I think the speakers all did a very, very nice job and their tributes to um to Pat Williams. I think that the kids were especially good. I thought they all did a marvelous job in their own right. And I think it was a nice tribute to the lifetime of public service that Pat Williams has given the state of Montana. And I live in the east and north central part of the state, which because of population is in the eastern district. So I never had Pat as my representative, except for either 2 or 4 years that he represented the entire state of Montana when he was congressman in the mid '90s. And but I did get to know him when I ran for the state legislature in 1998. I believe it was the spring of '98. I went to Great Falls and he was speaking to a group there, and I mean, he's an incredible storyteller, an incredible speaker, powerful speaker, and I still remember some of the things he talked about in that speech. But then also got to know him, of course, when I was in the United States Senate, and he would always show up. I shouldn't say always, but a lot of times he'd show at some of my events and some of my fundraisers, and he was always in the back, and he was never critical. If you asked him for advice, he'd give it to you, but he never told you what you should be doing, unless he thought you really were screwing up, which I didn't do too much of. So he was just there to add support. So
Well, that's
really a good guy, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Carol because I
right.
served with the state legislature, and Carol truly was the backbone of Pat Williams. There's just no doubt about that, and she is an amazing woman in her own right, and hopefully she's able to get through this and enjoy her life now that Pat has passed on.
Yeah, I know we were talking about stories the other night, Pat Williams stories when we first met him, and my first memory is more about Carol than Pat, and of course, I got to know Pat later, but truly, the amount of stuff that they got done together,
Yeah.
both separately and together, it's amazing, and yeah, the tributes were incredible. You can find the whole service on YouTube if you didn't get to attend or watch it live, it is there, and I'll link to that in our Substack too, because it's really, you just masterful job done by the speakers, and we have these old little pins that they handed out because I didn't realize this, but Pat Williams, when he won, they had these stickers made that said, "My thanks, Pat," and they would go stick them on all the yard signs they could find, so when people woke up the next morning, he had already said thank you. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. I never had that opportunity when I ran because my races were never called that night. They were called the next day at 10 or 11 or 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So I never could do that. But it's a genius damn thing to do. I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely genius.
I don't know. You could still go out at noon and do it, but it's not so sneaky.
Think about, yeah, at night nobody sees you. You're out there doing it, and you're not,
At noon, you get shot. Yeah.
well, I don't know about that, but it's,
Um,
take some of the luster off it, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Okay.
some of the magic is gone. I also want to say while we were there yesterday, our friend Bob at Biga Pizza sent me a picture of a receipt that somebody signed, and they said, "Thanks to John Tester for talking about Biga on the Grounded podcast and recommending it." So hey, like whoever that was, thanks for going having some Biga Pizza.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I mean, have a bigger pizza at a bigger pizza. Yes. And that's the place we should take Michael Cohen because, he's kind of, he'd fit right in there.
Well, Bob has the same kind of accent.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Okay.
What I'm
Yeah,
talking,
yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
All right, so you're not wearing a Big Pizza hat today. You were wearing a Hotel Finland hat yesterday in honor of Pat,
Yeah.
for Butte, but what does your hat say today? Oh, I can't see. Oh, Stonyfield Farm Organic. Yeah,
Yeah. So now what is Stonyfield Farms? That's the question for you. Do you know what it is? It's okay if you don't.
some kind of supplier that you plant their seeds.
Yeah, they actually deal a lot in milk products, and they're on the East Coast. They're in Vermont, and they make. Oh, I'll just be flat out honest with you. It's the best yogurt I've ever eaten. It's really good, really good.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I've had that, yeah.
It's really good stuff. And the guy, I don't think he owns it anymore, but the guy who used to own it's just a principal fella, and a really good guy. But they have really good, really. I don't wear this to advertise for anybody, but when it's quality, it's quality. They got yogurt. Their milk is some of the best organic milk I've ever drank. It's really good.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, we just want to thank everybody for joining us. The Michael Cohen chat is entertaining for sure. A lot of swear words in this one. I'm going to have to hit the explicit checkbox, but it's an entertaining one. You know, it's funny. Like he hosted us on Substack, and we had all these questions, but certainly like there was a lot of give and take in that conversation. So I hope you enjoyed it. You can find us, of course, on Substack, Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. You can shoot us an email anytime at groundedpcast@gmail.com. And this only works because of the support of people like you. And we are so grateful for that support. We want to thank again Michael Cohen for doing a Substack live with us, to our friends at Pearl Jam for letting us use their music, and to all of you, our listeners and viewers. We'll chat again soon.
Hello.